Terror on the Tube.
Welcome to Terror on the Tube, where we watch and discuss horror and suspense made for TV movies from the 70s, 80s, and occasionally 90s. I'm Gilman Joel. My co-hosts are Frozen Man.
I'm not Allyson.
Oh, okay.
He's letting it go.
Pumpkinhead Peter. And
Hi.
He's here, yes, of course. And the horror unicorn, aka
And
Allyson.
this guy.
And Dr.
He just randomly showed up and said there was something wrong with the pipes.
Yep. He did, and he never left. All right,
You're gonna fix your YouTube settings.
We are talking about The Plumber from 1979, which, being that it's a movie called The Plumber from 1979, you'd immediately assume it's a porno, but it's not. It is not a porno, in fact.
I did not think that at all. I don't know.
Really? I immediately, as soon as I heard Plumber 1979, my mind went there. Like, boop.
Did you not?
I may have seen a movie called The Plumber.
Did you not make a joke about what happens next? He fixes the pipes.
Fixes the pipes.
He does indeed. He does it. Well, actually, he doesn't.
No, spoilers. No.
Yeah, spoiler alert. So
Getting into
Peter,
it already.
Yeah, Peter.
Yes.
Do you have a synopsis?
A short one.
Okay.
So this one, The Plumber from 1979, is an Australian movie. So it originally aired on Channel 9 on Friday, June 8th. In Australia, that is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. A young couple living in a campus apartment complex are repeatedly harassed by an eccentric plumber. That's a nice word. Not plumber, but eccentric. Who subjects them to a series of bizarre mind games while making unnecessary repairs to their bathroom. Slightly okay synopsis.
Yeah, it's in the ballpark.
Yeah.
I would eliminate repairs from that, and I would replace eccentric with psychotic.
Yes.
Yes.
He really
Yeah,
only menaces the wife.
And I would say, I don't even know if I'd go psychotic as much as I would go angry and resentful and vindictive.
Yes.
Like, I don't think he never, because this was interesting about this movie, and this is gonna be, I think, a fun conversation, because I never felt like it's like a proto interloper movie. So interloper movies, for those people out there that don't realize what they are, I feel like it kind of really starts with Fatal Attraction and The Stepfather, because it's the same year, 1987. It's that Unlawful Entry, Pacific Heights, Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Yeah, all those guys, which I love. That's like one of my favorite subgenres. I love those, and I feel like this is absolutely an interloper movie.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's ones that go probably all the way back to the beginning of cinema, but this one in particular felt much more in line with like the ones we would get like in the late 80s, early 90s. As far as that goes, I think what was interesting though is and I'm sure we'll get into this. Obviously, it was directed by Peter Weir, which, if I'm not mistaken, is this probably like the most acclaimed director we've ever covered on Terror on the Tube?
I mean, unless you want to smack down Wes Craven.
Oh, no. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. No, on a personal level, Wes Craven. So, but other than Wes Craven, and to be fair, the one we covered for Wes Craven was exactly, his top tier. But I do love Invitation to Hell. It was Invitation to Hell, right? That was it.
Yes.
And
there will be others. And I'm guessing there's at least two other Wes Craven
I think I know what
that
they
will
are.
come up on the list.
I think I know what they are, but I think I've only seen part of one of them, if it's the one with Linda Blair.
Oh, yeah.
If that's the one you were thinking of.
There's that one. There's another one.
Yeah, and Chiller, right? Isn't that what it is? Chiller is the other one. Yeah, I've never seen that one.
Spoiler alert. Please.
We're upsetting Peter. We should stop. Yeah. Sorry. No, I mean, but like, and I do love Wes Craven, but yeah, this guy he's got some serious clout.
Yeah. This is probably the one, other than Wes Craven, this is the most famous director, and definitely when it comes to like award-winning, kind of like a higher caliber, how it's perceived Let's just put it that way.
Mention a couple of the movies if people don't know.
Well, first I'll say that it's Peter Weir. I thought we said the director. So yes, it's directed by Peter Weir. Oh, Peter, give us some of his greatest hits.
I'll say one of my favorites for last.
Okay,
I've already shown it. But before this, I think not the Plumber, but before the one I'll mention later. He did The Cars That Ate Paris.
Yep.
Witness. The Last Wave, that I haven't seen that I really want to. Gallipoli, The Mosquito Coast, which I for some reason watched in the theater, thinking it was something completely different.
Saw that as a child.
Yeah, from watching the trailer over here, and we sat in the theater thinking, wait, what? What's going on here? But it was a good movie. Year of Living Dangerously, Dead Poets Society, that's a really good one. Green Card, I kind of like that one, I think. Fearless, The Truman Show, which is a really good one. Master and Commander, and The Way Back. And then we get to my personal favorite, Picnic at Hanging Rock.
Oh, yes.
So here's the thing. Ready, Peter? Peter, ready?
No, I'm going to be sad.
Yeah, I know it. I mean, I know of it, but it's not like for so long, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was one of my great shames that I had never seen. And then I finally saw that, and it's amazing. I know I need to see this. I've never seen Picnic at Hanging Rock. I know of it, but I've never seen it.
There's a really, really good documentary on this one, too, called A Dream Within a Dream. So cool. And I recently rewatched this. I love Picnic at Hanging Rock.
Yeah. Well, I will say this one, the Plumber. But other than I will lay all my cards on the table and tell you guys, I actually really like this one a lot. I thought this was a very smart.
This is the second Australian TV movie we watched. You did not kind of like the first one.
What was the first one?
Night Nurse.
Oh,
you liked parts of it.
I liked it.
You liked that. I also liked it. Yeah. I didn't hate it. It's just I remember being like, it's kind of meh. Like it was meh to me.
It had a psychotic everyone's dead dinner style scene in it, which I don't know. I think that's one of my favorite things because there's sort of that in The People Across the Lake.
Yeah, there is that. Yep.
I think there's both a Night Gallery and maybe a Tales from the Crypt that have that kind of a story. I don't know why I like that. Maybe don't ever let me in a funeral.
I'll arrange the corpses. You'll decorate. Yeah, you'll decorate.
Yes.
Yeah, this one's completely different. This is psychological.
My only gripe with this movie, and I get what the logic is with the title, but the title is so unbearably generic. Picnic at Hanging Rock is a great title because it's like it's evocative of something, but you're not sure what. It's interesting, and you're like, oh, what does that mean? Or the Cars That Ate Paris. I know that's but at least it's like
kind of they don't. Yeah. Well, never mind.
Dead Poets Society. Like, these are great titles. The Plumber is.
I think though, given what goes on in this film and the anxieties it plays on, if you're somebody that loathes having somebody come into your house to do any kind of contract work or repair, that might be triggery enough. I don't know. Maybe if you've had bad experiences or you have anxiety about that. I mean, that's not something I personally have had experience with. I should knock on some wood. But everything's shaking. Yeah. But it's talked about, and it's kind of like there's a whole class struggle thing going on here, which we'll get into. But it also, I mean, the class thing is huge because I remember I was traveling through Europe, probably about 12, 13 years ago. And it was before the UK had left the EU, and there was all this backlash against immigrants, but they called it, they had a name for it, the Polish plumber syndrome. So there was a connotation with plumbers being interlopers just to begin with. And in Europe, it was they're immigrant plumbers. And that's totally something that would happen in the US as well. It's these people came from this other country and they're taking our jobs and they're blah, 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 And so I don't know. I feel like the plumber, for me, I think the title, you could already project a lot onto it depending on where you're coming from.
Yeah. You could call it the folk singing plumber. That's another.
No, that's true. Yeah. Dude, you went full Bob Dylan.
I I would have refused to watch a movie that was the title. Like, no,
The folk
you.
singing
and the whole time he was singing that, I was just singing along with him. It ain't me, babe.
Right.
No, it ain't. It's just like, wait, are you gonna sing that one?
No, that is when you like. Okay, there are multiple points in this movie where I'm like, this is when you call the police. This is when you call the police. This is like he brought a guitar to the bathroom, which he previously entered through a hole in the ceiling.
Yes.
This is when you could call the police.
You could call the police basically 5 minutes after he arrived the first time, when he's taking the shower.
Shower in your
Singing.
bathroom. Yeah.
I would have just grabbed him and thrown him out.
Did he take a shower though?
Yeah. Good point.
Because I feel like he came out with dry hair.
Yeah, because a little water.
There was a little bit of
was
water.
wet.
Yeah.
He was wet, like
A little bit. He was
could have done this.
sweaty way. He was wet like it could be sweat. It was. I think it was all about gaslighting her, right? Like he just wanted to mess with her.
Yeah, I have think about how and what's going on actually with him and all of that. We'll get into that later. So
yeah.
Did you actually know when he arrives at the start of the movie? It's like everything is just random because he randomly picks a floor because he's pausing away and then he just presses 9. So was he going up to go after her because he knew about her, or was
That's what I kept trying to figure out for half the movie. I was somewhat convinced he wasn't even a plumber, that he was just some dude. And then he was talking about where they grew up, and I'm like, oh, maybe he knows her from
some history or something. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
but no,
it's
he
also
actually was the plumber.
It's also possible that because it's a student housing situation, like you get the feeling that the building is part of the university complex that they're both the husband and wife are involved in, and it's like. It's higher postgraduate education stuff. So he might have already just had an opinion about everyone who lives in the building. And she might have been a random pick. Like, I don't know that it was necessarily, it was like a random pick. And then it was like, oh, we got a live one. I'm really getting a rise out of this woman. I'm going to keep coming back and antagonizing her.
What was her name? Meg? Neighbor, because she was apparently rich, came from a rich. So,
well, and I will say this, like, you made the point about he had an opinion on everyone, but my guess is everyone there had an opinion on him.
Oh yeah.
That's what I like about this movie.
Yeah, but still,
well, hold up here. Though I was going to say that this to me, I know, I promise I will not get on a soapbox about this. I promise. But it's no secret. I loathe messages in movies when it's like beat you over the head. I'm going to tell you how to think and what to think. But when a movie's got themes and ideas and it's an examination and it's like, hey, we're going to give you different like views on it. Like obviously he does some bad sketchy shit straight up. And yeah. But when you, especially where I don't want to give anything away yet, because I'm sure we'll spoil things by the end, but where it ends up and what she's willing to do, and you can say, oh, it's justified, totally. But what she does is wrong. There's a more ethical point.
Yeah. I think that she should have, Australia is not big on guns, and I'm not generally in most cases, but if someone came through a hole in my ceiling after purposely did not let them in the door, I would shoot them.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that is the proper response. I don't think
here's what's interesting,
what
because
she did at the end was a good thing to do, but I think she would have been justified in treating him like a home invader and acting accordingly if that meant violence, because that's honest.
Yes.
A fair reaction.
And I think, because I was thinking about it afterwards, this whole thing, he does a lot of, because he changes the whole bathroom to, I don't even know what the hell that is.
Almost like it almost looks like an art piece. Like,
it's insane. You're saying earlier he's not psychotic, but what he does to the bathroom is psychotic.
Because he does it on, but here's the key. The reason why I don't think he's psychotic, he does it all on purpose.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like this is some random, like,
I think you can be intentional and also like insane.
Maybe a sociopath. He may be a sociopath.
So like It's mad. Like what he does to that bathroom is an act of violence. And it also sort of makes the bathroom turn into like a cage. It's hard to get in and it's hard to get out of. It's very, very weird. And but the thing that baffles me the most isn't what he does to the bathroom. It's the reaction from the husband who's just like, this is fine. This is normal. Yep. Like my colleague was almost killed in our bathroom. We totally should have everyone over for dinner while this is going on. Yeah, like actually, like that was one of my biggest frustrations. Wasn't even with the plumber, but like this woman needs to grow a spine. Well,
and her, well, so did her husband.
But like, I think what's interesting also. Interesting about this is because I thought about that afterwards, and had it not been for the bathroom was the physical evidence of what he's doing, you could actually interpret it to something in her mind, because everyone else he was nice to.
Yes,
as a gaslighting scenario.
They all thought he was great, but yet you have the bathroom to look at. That's the thing I didn't understand. It's like, but this is not how you fix things.
Right. No, I thought about maybe she has the experience that because I mean he does fill the apartment completely when he's there with his presence and his noises and everything. But you could take it as maybe he was just, and I'm skipping the bathroom physical evidence part here. Maybe he was just a normal plumber working away and having a radio on and maybe singing a little bit, but not making a lot of noise. But in her mind, he was filling it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So she thought that he was this psychopath.
He was like almost like he's worse. Like her perception of him is like he's worse than he actually is.
Because when you hear all the other, like Meg, like thanks him for doing work at her apartment. The woman in the basement, I don't know who she was.
I think she was like the wife of the super or something kind of.
Yeah, that might have been
to the administration of the building.
She didn't have a problem with him, and the husband didn't have a problem. Yeah. So I thought about that, but then again, you do have the bathroom evidence.
But see, this is why this movie's great. I'm just gonna say this is why it's great because you don't 100% know. That's what it's.
No. I mean, there's not a good guy in this scenario.
No.
It's a really stressful watch between two people that do really horrible things.
Yeah,
and like she says at one point when she finally loses it and screams at him. She like calls him like a dirty
filthy, rotten tradesman.
Which so she throws the class thing in his face, which is something he's implied she's gonna do the whole time because he's like acting like I've got your number, I know what you think of me, and I'm gonna mess with you. And if this was two dudes, if she was a guy, I would have no empathy for her whatsoever. But because she's female and there's this extra level of a threat of violence, I feel for her somewhat, even though I don't understand the majority of her choices.
Well, I have a theory on that, though, Allyson. I'll finish your thought, but I have a theory as to why she, at least initially, is very like, okay, fine, do what you got to do.
Well, I think that a lot of people, especially women, are kind of bred to just be polite and go along. And I don't know what the rules are in Australia, but in a lot of places in the US, at least, if you are renting a space, your landlord usually has to give you at least 28, sometimes 24 to 48 hours worth of notice if they're coming to the property or someone else is being sent out to the property to do maintenance. She didn't get any kind of advance warning. So this guy, like the fact that she doesn't ask for verification or say, hey, can you come back in an hour? I need to do something first. Because for me, if it was like, yes, this is legit, I would have just let the dude do his work and gone to work on my own work elsewhere, because there's no way you're going to get stuff done. But there's this level of like menace that I don't even think people are aware of unless they've experienced it personally, where if a guy is talking at you and he's physically bigger than you and he wants your attention, there's sometimes this vibe from certain guys towards women that, well, I feel entitled to your attention. I feel entitled to your space. I'm going to take up that space. It's like almost a smaller act of violence. It's not like an overt act, but it's it's
aggression. It
is a step in a direction that makes you feel like you are going to be assaulted. And it's feels very purposeful. And so there was that edge to his behavior throughout this. And I think he probably despises the husband as well, but I think it's easier to go after a woman who's considered lesser than and weaker than it is to go after, this graduate student who's like, or teach. I think he's a professor.
Well, but he's never even. The problem is he's never there either.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But it's easier to pick on. Like, it's easier even if the husband was more involved. I feel like the woman is going to be the target because she's the easier target. She's the easier person to victimize.
Also, it's easier to irritate someone who's actually there.
True.
Yeah. So, I
want to get Drew's 2 cents. Drew, did you see The Plumber? And what was your what?
I mean, he's.
Would be great.
I saw The Plumber.
You sat here the whole time and went, no, actually, I didn't even watch that movie.
I came in for the last 5 minutes. Okay. It was all right. No. It was a hard watch. It was a good movie, but a hard watch, I thought, because it was uncomfortable,
Yes.
The entire movie is uncomfortable.
Yes. And you know what? It's going to be a very bizarro comparison. And so I apologize in advance to everyone.
Oh, boy.
But minus the graphic depictions of assault, the vibe was like Last House on the Left, but like the build up, like where you have these characters that are just treating each other in this boundaryless way that in real life, if you've ever been involved with people who just don't have boundaries and you're like, okay, you're back. You're like, that it's that discomfort. Like it feel like what it is, like you made the point, like what he did was it felt like a form of violence. Cause you could tell it's a prelude to getting violent. Like in a different set of circumstances, if it led to him assaulting her, it would have been horrible and horrifying, but it wouldn't have been shocking based on
it would have been
build
more
up.
cliche. Yeah. This is more because I like what Drew said, because I checked, I think it was 15 or 20 minutes into the movie. I checked, I was like, oh my God, I have almost an hour left and it's already at this level.
Yeah.
Right.
It's already at the start. It's up here. And I think, oh my God, what?
Oh, I mean,
how much more?
His very first day of work that he's like joking about he went to prison for rape.
Yeah.
You're like, just a joke. Just a joke.
Just a joke.
Yeah, that's something
really
to joke about.
And it's like day one, great first impression,
Yeah.
And then later he says, I never went to prison. I've never been in prison. So he's like messing with her. But
that's what I love is that it's almost like he's also gaslit. The brilliance of the movie to me, it's also the audience is equally being gaslit, because I'm not going to lie to you. There's that, like what Peter said earlier, there's that party that goes, is she maybe imagining some of this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know I heard him say it. I know he did that.
I know.
You feel this weird, like,
yes, it's like
she's just in her head. Like, what's happening?
Part of it, you get the feeling part of it is maybe she's not making it up, but she's expanding and making him seem more there, or I don't know, brash.
It's almost like he picked up. He was intuitive enough to pick up from the word. Let's make some assumptions here that he was actually supposed to go to that apartment to fix something. Like, because the thing I was going to say is, you guys made the point, or Allyson, you made the point about in the States, mostly depends upon where you live specifically. Right. But they are supposed to give you notice.
You have to give notice.
Well, not everywhere. That's not entirely true. And also the amount of time. But I would love if we have a listener that's from Australia, especially from that era, because who knows, maybe it's different now than it was then.
Please come back to us.
Yeah. If they are, because they weren't just in an apartment that they were renting, they were in, because they made a point of it several times. This is a government-owned, tax-funded, kind of almost like project, but for like academics,
student housing.
So like, I wasn't just like in a dorm, but this is more for like married couples and presumably maybe people with kids, stuff like that.
The apartment building itself was an ugly building, but the view and the way they walked, it was like, okay, I might have been able to live there for a little while though, but not.
But I'm just wondering if that maybe the presumption was, okay, maybe it's like one of the things like a lottery system, like it's hard to get into one of those places, and they don't have a lot of money anyway, because they made that point a couple of times. You could tell they're kind of struggling, and they obviously go on these trips to do their anthropology work or whatever. And we could get into the whole. It was an interesting dynamic that I think it's kind of fascinating. Even back in like that period, the difference between the highly educated, maybe even overly educated, versus this blue collar guy who has little to probably dropped out of high school, most likely. And that just the contempt they have for each other, within that, like that's part of that class thing.
Well, there's also an interesting layer to that, because like both the husband and wife, their field of study is basically cultures that they would consider primitive.
Yes.
Like it's, because they're like really interested in, I think it was New Guinea specifically, which, so they're looking at it from like a white academic lens, and they're making judgments. So there's this whole layer of like, they're studying these others, like there's this distance, and they're making judgments. And like the husband keeps bringing up, I think they're eating the dead or practicing cannibalism again, because there's signs of this disease happening.
And then there's people countering that, saying, well, no, it could just be this thing.
Yeah. And like, that's, and it's like, are you seeing actual evidence of this, or are you putting a judgment based on internal biases that this is happening? And that's never answered. And so that's kind of an interesting layer that relates to what's actually happening within the apartment itself. And then she tells that story at the beginning about how this, I don't remember what the man's position in the tribe, but it kind of got the impression it was like he was like a tribal leader or somebody important.
Like
and he came and he sat in her space and like, chanted at her all night and like stared at her, and she was afraid for her life. And then eventually she threw like goat's milk at him, and he started crying. And I was like, that story is here for a reason.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Relating to how this is going to go. So I kept waiting for like, what's the metaphorical goat's milk going to be? Because this dude is creating the same feelings
that
in
discomfort.
Her.
Exactly. Yes. It's like she was projecting onto but here's the thing. But at the same time, this is why I love this movie. At the same time, she's not wrong. Like, okay, the watch thing, the watching. I'm sorry, I've done the same thing. I'm hiding my brand new expensive watch that I got for a present. I'm not leaving it in the room with this guy I do not know.
Oh, and just for sure,
he doesn't rob me. I'm sorry, you could be naive and say, "Oh, well, you should not judge." Well, okay, whatever.
At the end, I mean, if you can just err on the side of this is a stranger, I don't know, I'm going to take precautions, but then the watch comes into play later. I also thought it was super obnoxious that when she said the watch was missing, the husband was just like obsessing about how much it cost and like flipping out, and like it's super like he keeps emphasizing it, and it's like, that's not really good gift giving when you're just like, you lost.
You know how much I spent on your present?
Yeah, and it was just like the husband just sucked. Like he was a really terrible person.
He was not great.
The fact that the husband didn't listen to any of her complaints and pushed them away and said, whatever, you're being hysterical, blah, blah, blah. But the second monetary value of his was called into question. It was like, oh, we have to get rid of this guy now.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like, he's mentally and possibly threatening physical abuse to you. Yeah, you're just imagining that.
Yeah, that's no big deal. Yeah, yeah. What? Yeah. What cracks me up is like it's fascinating to the kind of individual that probably at their polite, dinner conversation.
The plumber arrived.
The plumber's here.
Yeah.
No. My wife was trying to get my teacher to tell me that our pup, we just picked them up from a kennel, and we've determined our little Gus has irritable bowel syndrome, apparently, because every time we take him to the kennel, he's fine, and we bring him home, and the next morning we wake up to a disaster in his sleeping area.
You need someone to clean his pipe.
Yeah. So needless to say, she's going to get the medicine. She's letting me know. Anyway. Okay. Digress. So, what the hell was I saying?
Horrible husband.
The horrible husband. Yeah. Oh, I know what it was. Okay. So what I found fascinating is this idea that the husband to me represents, and that's the other thing that's interesting about a movie it's made this way. It's about what these people and ideas represent. It's not like, I don't feel like Peter Weir and the writers are judging anybody. Like, they're just presenting characters and putting them in this situation and seeing how they mesh together, how they react, what fireworks go off. Yeah. And I love
he just made it for money.
Oh, he did? Really?
I think so.
That speaks to his craft.
Yeah.
It's based on 2 stories, apparently.
Yeah, I read that.
Like apparently, true stories?
He knew a couple.
Okay.
And they had a plumber who wasn't like psychotic, but they had a plumber who was a horrible plumber. Like, couldn't do his job. Yep. And he like would sing and eat in their house constantly. And like, the woman was being driven insane and she didn't do anything, but she had thoughts of what she would want to do to this plumber. And that disturbed her. Like, she felt guilty for the thoughts she had about this annoying plumber.
Yeah.
And then the other thing it's based on was apparently he picked up a hitchhiker who, like, he just thought whatever, he looked like a hippie, and he just picked him up and they started talking kind of political, and he figured he looks like a hippie, so he's gonna, give his opinions. And then the guy started going on about Vietnam and how they should just nuke the place and all this super violent, crazy stuff while he's driving with him in his car. Yeah. And so he put those 2 characters together.
Yeah. And it's fascinating to find that out, because that's one of the things we haven't touched on. But there was obviously, again, it's hinted at, but that this guy, at least this working class plumber, right, that the way his politics would lean, like he admits as being like I think a vegan or a vegetarian, I don't remember which, but at one point, now I don't know if over there liberal means the same thing as it does here, but he has a thing on his back of his jacket that says liberal equals less tax or something. So it's like he's literally wearing his politics on his sleeve. And his
talking about Bob Dylan and the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, let me tell you, as someone who was somewhat of a wayward hippie, like in my teens and 20s, like, cool liberal dudes are some of the most misogynistic, creepy, will stick drugs in your drink and try to rape you, dude, at festivals and stuff. And I mean, this doesn't just apply to like being creepy towards women, but also like, you can tell someone wants to try to take advantage of you if they're telling you it's all love, if that's their message. Because it's like, you know what? That would be great. I wish that were true. I do really wish that were true. It is not. We are not there yet. So you need to back up 6 feet. And his lie is intended to get something that they want, whatever that is in that moment.
Yes. And it feels gross and phony. So, but all that to be said, I think what the husband struck me as the kind of guy who loves to sit around sipping his Chardonnay, going on and on about the lower classes and how he supports the poor and this, and he gives you all the policy prescriptions he thinks, and up until it directly affects him and his life and his bottom line. And then,
But still, he thought, I mean, because of the bathroom looking like a war zone, basically.
Sure.
And his colleague, not colleague.
The embarrassment of that moment.
Yeah. And when he goes to the bathroom and he falls and he hurts himself and all that makes for apparently people relaxing, and he gets his grant or whatever it is he's out for. So in his mind,
he got what
the plumber did. Yeah, what the plumber did was exactly.
It broke down the formalities of the barriers between him and these people he wants something from.
It became a fun little story we tell at dinner parties.
I think he's worse. I actually think he's the worst man in this movie.
The husband? The husband?
Yes.
I agree with you, because
it's terrible.
It's like, and again, I feel like he represents something, right? It's not that he. You don't want to say like, all people that are academic, blah, blah, blah. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying, though, he represents a certain type, especially from that era. Like, I think that era especially, I'm not saying it doesn't still exist, but it feels like this, there was this element of like, almost like fetishizing intellectual. You're being an intellectual and acting like you're somehow above. But then at the same time, you never would want to. You're for the common man, and it's like, no, you're not. You're an elitist asshole.
No, not at all.
That's fine. You're an elitist asshole.
I mean, I get that he really wants this to work out with those the colleagues so they can get out of the place. But the way he treats her, because he's just so single-mindedly on that road, and nothing she says about the plumber. I mean, probably even if she'd called and said he'd assaulted her, he would have probably said, you know what, I can't really come home now because I
got a meeting. I've got a meeting with these guys. Yeah. Yeah.
So
that was more important to him. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. By the way, can we clear something up real quick? Because I feel like I do want to. Now we've had this conversation, and you guys have made me think about certain things. I want to go back and rewatch this movie, especially because like the opening moment. I'm not gonna say what I thought was happening at first, but it's someone in the shower, and they're making weird noises, and then the husband gets out of the shower by himself, presumably because they do show the wife. My kids watched this movie with me, by the way, and that opening moment, they were like, "What's happening?"
This is a made-for-TV movie from Australia, kid.
Yeah, so kids in Australia.
There's a little bit of boob in it.
Yeah, I was getting a little side boob action. You got some side boob action. They weren't complaining about that, mind you. But
of course,
yeah, they're teenagers. What do you want? But it was a weird. Like it seemed like the dude was pleasuring himself, and then. It was just a weird moment. It was like, I feel like going back or now having seen the movie that was almost meant to be some weird foreshadowing for something else. Like it was like, because he's in the shower. It's an interesting point. Yeah. He's in the bathroom. He's in the shower. I guess, is that what you guys took? Is that what was happening?
Well, okay. I didn't quite get that. It definitely seemed like there was supposed to be some kind of like sensualness to the shower, because it's funny because Drew, when the shower scene happened, because it opened, it's like the plumber and then the shower scene, and Drew was like, oh, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah. Well, it was a porno.
Did we watch the wrong movie?
Right? The wrong 1970s The Plumber.
Yeah. So two real quick questions. One, did this remind you guys, like, not story exactly, but like vibe wise, of that movie Crawl Space that we watched a long time ago?
Yeah.
Like this, I felt like this made me uncomfortable in a similar way. Yes. And then Drew brought up a movie that he thought paralleled this really well.
Well, a lot of people in their reviews on IMDb, because I just go down IMDb rabbit holes while watching all the time.
Shocking. This crowd.
We all do.
But lots of people in their reviews were comparing it to The Cable Guy, the Jim Carrey movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is actually
excellent.
Which interesting.
Is hilarious, because then I went down a Cable Guy rabbit hole.
There you go.
And there was nobody that was like there was no way the Cable Guy was inspired by this movie. It's just coincidence. Yeah. Because the Cable Guy, I guess, was originally written as more of a buddy comedy. Okay. And then like Judd Apatow came along and was
made it darker.
Made it darker because Jim Carrey wanted it to be darker.
Yeah.
But then Jim Carrey works with Peter Weir on the Truman Show. So you kind of wonder, did that come up in conversation?
Oh my God. Yeah, you even think about
that. Like, did that get talked about?
Which one came out? Because Cable Guy was 96, right?
Right. So Cable Guy came out just a few years before Truman Show.
Okay. Well, Truman Show was what? 98?
8. Yeah.
Okay. 98. Yeah. Yeah. That's look, if it's a coincidence, that actually makes it cooler in a way.
Yeah. I mean, it totally could be.
Yeah.
Well,
but
it's like even cool. The titles,
Well, and then honestly,
Cable Guy,
I would buy. I would totally believe. I mean, I could see there being an influence, but I could also see there not being, because I think this fear of letting strangers into your home, and then they're like, you always hear contractor nightmare stories. It's like, well, I hired people to finish my kitchen, and then they got halfway through and they left. So like I think it's a universal fear.
It is. Yeah. Now I will tell you, true story. And I probably, buried the lead with this. So we actually, when we moved into the house we're in, we had an issue with a water heater. And so turns out when you have a family of 5 and 3 of those 5 are teenagers, a 40-gallon water heater does not cut the mustard. Or 50-gallon or whatever. So the house we had before, what's that?
You need a dam to hold up a lake.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah.
I would say our house before this was a townhouse. Oh, that's true. Good point. We had a 60-gallon, and that one just barely made it okay. So they basically convinced us, you should get this tankless water heater. It was like new technology, blah blah blah. I crap you not. We went almost. I'm going to guess a number 6 months-ish plus without having consistently a water heater that worked. Like at one point for almost a week straight, we were straight up doing like the old-timey pioneer heating water up on the stove to fill up a bathtub. Yeah. Because we had no water heater. And even in Florida, you don't want to take a cold shower no matter when it is.
No, my brother talked about once when their water heater broke, and he thought when he was in the shower and that icy cold water hit parts of his body, he let out a scream that only dogs could hear.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I bet.
and so we ended up having, it was a whole big mess where we went through like 2 or 3 of these tankless water heater units, because it was also during the whole like supply chain issues where they couldn't get stuff in. And dude, it was a nightmare. But the worst part was they had to wire this thing up special because it required whatever. And they sent over this guy, and dude was unstable. And we didn't know that at first. What's that?
Was his name Max?
No. I have a son named Max, though. No, but it was like we heard this banging out in the garage. We're like, thank God this was before like I had the video store and everything up there. It was we're like, what the hell is what? And I look out, and the dude's like just throwing shit, and like,
oh no,
so he was basically having a problem, and it just kept escalating. He's like, I gotta go back to the shop and pick up, and he would go to the car slam, and it's like. And he left, and I was like, oh God. And we're the type of people who are like,
he knows where you live.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, we could either make a huge to-do about this and call his employer, blah, blah, or we could just play this out and be like, hey, buddy, it's okay. And so Heather and I shifted into our...
So you had your own The Plumber moment.
Yes. Like, I got to understand why at first you don't want to like set somebody like that off when they know where you live. So... we both shifted into like our middle school teacher mode where we're talking to him like seriously, like when you have a kid having a temperature, like, all right, hey bud, everything's it's gonna be okay. Like, we were like straight up, and he started telling us about Bitcoin and how he had invested a bunch in it. He was and the worst part is the best part is this was like right before it tanked. So I was like, I joke with my kids all the time, like when Bitcoin completely like the bottom fell out, I was like, can you imagine if he had showed up like the next day? How bad this could have. So it got so bad that at the time the only weapon I had on hand was a baseball bat, and I had it by the door because I was like, if this son of a bitch comes in the house, I'm gonna do what I gotta. I don't want to do this, but I'm gonna do what I gotta do. And it was like literally that. And then finally, it got so bad they had to send somebody out from the shop to help him finish the job. They were here till like 10 o'clock at night, and it started like in the morning. It was it was honestly the only time I'd ever had somebody work on anything in my home where I was legit a little freaked out. And I'm a 6 foot 215. I'm not like a little guy.
But your whole family, you all work from home, so it's like there's no escape.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What would you say, Peter?
Did he bring a guitar?
No, he did not bring. That would actually that would have been kind of awesome if he had done that.
Okay. So like, I was having flashbacks to the Barbie movie where all the the Kens are like, "You're gonna sit on the beach and stare at me in wonder while I play this song."
Yes. It was. We had just seen a Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan. Well, I love when people call them biopics. It says a biopic, and. It's so funny because in that, through a good chunk of it, Dylan had the whole harmonica rig on his. So when he showed up, we all started laughing because he was straight up doing the Dylan thing, man. It was funny.
And it was kind of aggressively singing. It's not just a nice singing.
That was meant to send a message. That was meant to send a message.
You stand there and you watch me sing. I need attention.
Not even the fact that he's like, if he was just like a chill dude who like, I brought my guitar, I'm going on break, I'm gonna sit outside and strum it a while. Go like that's not weird, but he was like, I wrote a song about what a bitch you are, and I'm gonna aggressively sing it at you and demand your attention, woman. And I'm like, oh, that feels way too real.
Yeah, not only that, he wrote the lyrics on the bathroom tile.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and what's funny is that not funny, haha. But as you know, and we'll go ahead and spoil the end. By the way, anybody who's listening to this, if you do want to see it, we're about to spoil the end, or I am. And I will say it's actually not super easy to find. The Criterion Channel had it. Yeah, I think that's the only
if you're in the US, I don't know what the offers are like or streaming services like outside, as far as licensing in other countries, but you can do, if you're in the US, you can do a 7-day free trial and you can check this out. And there's lots of other fun stuff on there. I've been going down a rabbit hole. I watched Body Double for the first time last week. The De Palma? Yeah. And I was that was just worth it right there. I was just like, this is so fun. I loved it. It was so good.
Relax. Don't do it.
Yes. Drew hasn't watched it yet, so don't.
Okay. No spoilers. But yeah, so ultimately, though, in the end of this movie, she plants evidence, frames him for a robbery, calls it in, and gets the guy probably just ruined. I mean, especially if he is an ex-con, right? If it turns out like he had a pass with that, this is going to just. He's going to prison.
It's a long time. Yeah. Exactly.
And to me, this is a personal thing. That is morally reprehensible. Like almost in my mind, it's probably worse than anything he did to her. Because like what he did was destruction of property. He was a total dick. He gaslit her. But what she did is probably just send him to prison. I don't know what the law is like with obviously Australia.
And again,
but he's going to prison for a long time. If he's
probably had she let him go about his business, but he would have, he wouldn't have stayed there he would have left at some point.
Yeah, I got that vibe. Like almost like he was, what were you going to say, Drew?
Oh, I don't know if he would have ever left ever.
I think he would have left and actually finished the job had he not been getting a rise out of her.
Yes.
Like if she kept her discomfort. I mean, some of it's hard to hide, but had she not verbalized anything and like she's working from home, if I had been in that situation and it was like actually clear that yes, he's legitimately here. Yes, this work has to be done. Like that's all been confirmed and I cannot stand this person, then I would be making arrangements to either go work at the neighbor's house or go work at the library. I would be hiding and locking up my valuables before the person came in. And then I would just be like, all right, cool. Like, please lock up when you're gone. I'm just going to let you have the apartment and not act like it's anything weird. And just because if he needed the exchange. So if like she had, but we wouldn't have a movie, had this happen. But in like real life, if she had removed herself from the situation, then he would have had no choice but to just complete the work because if he doesn't, he's going to get fired.
Yeah.
Or don't you also get there was no work. Basically.
Yes. Well, don't you get the sense too that it's been I watched this over a week ago, so I'm trying to remember specifics, but I remember there being moments where it made me think they were trying to establish that this couple, they're very good at academia, but that's about it. Like they're not good at for anything that's like work with your hands, whether it be cooking or whether it be just basic maintenance of your home.
Avocados and a sandwich. That's basically what she does. She makes this curry later on, hot curry. I wrote down.
Yeah, but they're like sweating profusely. Yeah. And it's just
the
like
avocado.
Oh yeah.
Drew's like, is that what they do in Australia?
Is that an Australian thing? What is?
I mean, I love avocado, but I thought that was weird.
Is that your dinner though? Just
that was my kids all said that. They're like, is that what they're eating?
I mean, she was very, very thin, so I thought maybe it was some kind of like I'm regulating
1970s diet. The avocado diet. Yeah. Well, I just felt like they were trying to establish this idea though that people like that depend on people like him.
Oh, right. Sure.
It's like the hierarchy is he's beneath them in the class, but it's quote unquote people like him without them. And he always I felt like he wanted to make a point, like really make a point that that's what the reality was. I think because it was interesting too how they started off the movie. It was always like a giallo. Like he's got the black gloves on.
Yes.
Yo, and like, and
the first thing Allyson said, she's like, "Oh, he's got the Giallo gloves."
Yes, he did. And then like, and I look, and I feel like
that's how we ordered them.
Peter,
I need Giallo gloves.
Yeah, Peter Weir.
There's a catalog.
Yeah. Peter Weir is a director. Even doing it for a buck or not, he seems like the kind of guy that it's intentional, right? There's a shot where the plumber, we haven't seen him. We only see him from like the waist down, and like there's like almost a crotch shot as the elevator. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like we're meant to read into all of that,
probably.
And the fact that it seems random. But I wonder if maybe, because again, this is a tax funded, maybe there's like, just maybe all he's supposed to do is he was supposed to go to their apartment, but all he was supposed to do was just do a checkup. Like just to kind of just check on things, make sure everything's like do an overall checkup, make sure everything's working and then leave. But because he realized who she was. And he figured
it irked him.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So that's why I didn't take him as a psychotic. He's an asshole, but he was not a psychotic. I think everything he did was
pissed.
Was this Machiavellian attempt to just needle and just get under her skin.
I think you have to be somewhat, functional, but unwell to want to escalate to that level.
Anger can do that, though. Just being angry and feel resentful of people, and he's the kind of guy who I imagine sits in his car.
Joel. He slid down through a hole in the ceiling.
Oh, I know. I didn't say he wasn't eccentric.
No. Oh, which by the way, eccentric. Maybe you didn't. I knocked, but maybe you didn't hear me.
Yeah, right. No, I don't think
the ceiling.
Yeah. That's you can't keep me out, you stupid woman. Like I'm coming into your space whether you want it or not. I'm gonna violate you. Like he was all. It was a power struggle.
Yes,
he got sucked into a power struggle, and I think. That kind of behavior is maybe common, but I don't think it's mentally well.
No, I don't know. I agree with you. It's not mentally well, 100%. I just don't. The word psychotic, because to me, that's the thing about this movie is it never went full blown like Pacific Heights. Unlawful entry, it didn't end in actual violence, and like when
fear.
if it ended like you mean the Mark Wahlberg, Reese Witherspoon movies, exactly, but it didn't end like that or like Fatal Attraction, which by the way I've always been on Glenn Close's side in that movie. Sorry, I think Michael Douglas is a total.
I just never understood why anyone thought Michael Douglas was hot, but that's
I guess he's his dad's Kirk Douglas, and I don't know.
I guess he has Kirk Douglas.
Yeah,
being attractive more than Michael Douglas.
Yeah, Michael Douglas I like him as an actor, but he always plays like the douchiest guys. He
just exudes like I honestly didn't start liking him as an actor until he got to be an older man, and then I was like, all right, you're kind of fun.
Yeah, Disclosure annoys the shit out of me. We don't have to even go down that road.
That movie is so stupid.
It's so dumb. Yeah. By the way, my kids asked me one time what that was, and because they saw the poster or whatever the box, I was like, "Yes, it's a movie where that guy claims that Demi Moore."
Actually, if you're interested in those 90s thrillers like we're talking about, if it's cool, I want to recommend a podcast that recently covered a bunch of them. Yeah. So. Karina Longworth's series, You Must Remember This. It's a really great podcast about Hollywood stories. Did both a 80s and 90s version of erotic cinema throughout the 80s and 90s, mostly centered on U.S., United States.
Like Basic Instinct, Body of Evidence, those kind of movies. Okay.
Yep. And
it was of evidence. I've forgotten about that.
It was totally fascinating, and she talks about all of those films, including Disclosure, and so just like. Talking about like the things we were kind of working out as a society through cinema.
Yeah. And that's again, back to this movie. I think that what I loved is that this is an example, and that's why I love Wes Craven so much. That I always felt like his movies, there's something under there that if you so choose to pick at the threads, right? That it's meant to make you think. Hills Have Eyes, one of my favorites, is absolutely this, dynamic struggle between the civilized, upper class, middle class to middle upper class family versus these primitives, the wild people, the feral people,
the working class,
and how easily anybody can revert back to that. And like, and in a way, that's what this movie.
If you're pushed enough,
that's what this movie does too. Because in the end, she does something that, if you want to base it on, like, if we're gonna have a measuring scale of what's worse, I'd argue
a measuring scale of douchiness.
Yeah, douchiness of what's more douchey is I think that what he did was wrong. Full stop. Yeah. I think that to match that wrong with, and maybe
throwing him in jail.
But this is what's so great. On one hand, though, we say that, but then it's like, but
do we know he goes to jail?
Yeah,
I would assume so. If
because I feel like he just gets fired, and they're like, "Oh, it's
But then he loses his job, and who knows?
Yeah, he loses
what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And like that's pretty devastating, especially if you're already a poor guy that doesn't have a lot of.
That's when we get the Plumber, the porn movie, because he has to support himself.
to go not make his money somewhere. Yeah, the 70s version of OnlyFans.
Maybe he's having a better time, you know.
But think about it. This movie would not have worked if we were in a big house. You have a small, cramped apartment.
Got to be contained.
It is. That's what I felt. Yeah, exactly. All the time watching this, I felt claustrophobic because being a tall ass dude and big dude, had I been in that apartment and he would be there too, it would have been like this. Yeah, I probably would have thrown him out earlier. Over the balcony.
I'm just going to throw I could be wrong in making this assumption, Peter. I'm just going to guess that guy, had you been in there, probably, maybe not. Maybe he would have been like, I don't care. I'm going after these people. Yeah, I'm just thinking if the, and I mean this totally complimentary, if the Jolly Green Giant rolls up on you, you're not exactly going to be like, oh, now I'm going to mess with this guy.
Yeah. I'm going to destroy your bathroom. No, you're not.
This guy that could go just knock you through the floor.
On top of your, on top of that.
I'm not
again, the apartment and what the movie shows perfect. It feels like this is the apartment. And then he comes in and just
in the basement, rather the bathroom is like another level, like Allyson or whoever said earlier about like it was like a jail, like it felt like.
And then again, the husband, invites 3 other guys over for dinner. I was thinking, where are you going to sit? On top of each other? It's
also, no bathroom. Like where? Like that was just insane.
And eating hot curry and no bathroom.
Right.
That's
even if it was like. Because I don't remember if the scaffolding had gone in yet, which I still don't understand how the scaffolding is needed in this plumbing job.
It's not.
Well, there's like at one point you see through the hole in the ceiling and there is like a water tank up there.
Yeah.
Because I was like, did he come from like the neighbor's apartment up above? Yeah. But then when I saw the water tank, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe they're on like the top floor. Yeah. And the water tank is just above them.
And because that's what he alluded to at the start of the
movie.
Then,
even if just your bathroom was still in renovations, like go out to eat. Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
She suggests that, and he's telling her, "Oh, they want your curry." But as they're having this conversation, she's turning on her sink in the kitchen, and the water's not coming out. It's like clearly this is not the time or place to have people over for dinner. If you don't even have water in your kitchen, like that's how is cooking happening?
And then it's just you figure that out.
He's so clueless. No, he's
figure that out and entertain my friends.
I wanted her to push him over the railing.
Yeah.
Like,
and what I was going to say is about like what I find morally reprehensible about what she did. However, and that's why I like this movie, because it makes you have to ask this question: if you're her and you truly believe this guy is just never going, because that's right after he had said,
I think she was pretty desperate. Yeah,
because that's what he said. It could take weeks. It could take months. Whatever. It's like at that moment, which it's really easy to be judgy. But at the same time,
one's listening to her.
Yes.
So
well, I think the thing is,
she can't do it any other way.
I think the thing is that you have these two characters locked in a power struggle, and he thinks he has the upper hand the whole time. And while what I think she did was really morally reprehensible, the other hand is she's being pushed and pushed and pushed.
Yes.
And I think it's a really good example of how sometimes you get on the level of this person that you become like you're exactly like your opposition. It's like, all right, You hit me where I lived repeatedly. I'm going to get you where you live.
Well,
your livelihood is gone now.
To spoil,
and she stands there and she smiles when she looks down at him. She's like,
Only time, by the way, notice the only time he called her a B. He didn't. That was the only time he started calling her any names. She had called him you filthy tradesman, all that stuff. He had never broken. That was the moment where he now is in the position she was in earlier, right? Where he's snapped.
Yeah.
He finally lost his power he had.
I still think it's a risky and stupid move on her part because
you better move. She better move.
Well, they're going to Switzerland.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Hopefully it's very quick.
That's true.
Hopefully the move is relatively soon. Because but like
if he gets out, you know where he's going.
Everybody has a dark side. So when these conflicts come up, you learn what you're capable of.
Yes.
Which I thought was very interesting.
That's what is so great about movies like this, though, right? That they push that question. And I never felt like Peter Weir or the people making the movie were judging anybody. I just feel like they're just showing us what can happen. Like Hills Have Eyes 77, mild spoiler for the end. When Doug, the son, who's actually in a way, he would have been friends with these folks. The son, that's like the last surviving other than the sister, the sister and brother, but the son-in-law. Sorry, he's got the mustache. If you remember in Hills Have Eyes, he's like the son-in-law. He has he's constantly coming to heads with the father-in-law, who's like the patriarch of the family, who's a cop and he's a man's man, and this guy's kind of a little bit more, a little bit more mild mannered, and but in the end, he's the one we watch completely just go animalistic. Along with the twins.
Right. I mean, I watch things like that, and I think
the Last House on the Left.
Oh, right.
Yes, or the parrots. Yes, right. I love stories like that because I believe that's absolutely human nature. I think that
it totally is.
You can push people so far.
What is it? It's with Dustin Hoffman. Straw Dogs.
Oh, there's another
good example. Yeah. He is pushed to the brink where
just the limit. The limit. Yep.
There's a lot of those movies.
I think sometimes if you're the type of person who's trying to deny that that's an aspect of your personality, it can come out so much worse. You get pushed and it's like, now this is happening, and it's that shadow side of everyone's
you beat me to it. I was going to say, not to get real academic all of a sudden, but the Jungian shadows. That's right. That's like the whole thing. We hate the most in others what we hate about ourselves. That we project. We constantly are projecting, and this idea that we don't have this darkness in us that under the right set of circumstances.
I think
there are people that believe they're somehow above that. That's good for you if you think that, but I don't buy that. And I mean, for me, I think like my children, my wife, you're in a situation like I know.
Listen, if someone steals my watch, I will go.
You will make sure that SOB's in prison for 30 years. I know you will. But that's the thing is, right? He never actually, other than just being annoying as hell,
he's very, very up in face,
and
but he's never.
In a sense, but he never she truly drew first blood. She did. He's good at the very best case scenario, loses his job. Best case scenario.
Didn't he touch at one point? He kind of held her and she said, "Take your hands off."
I think he did. Yeah.
That's what she screamed about him being a laborer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
exactly.
But he did it in that, I'm just being nice. Yeah.
And he also broke and entered through the ceiling.
Yes.
Which as I said before, that is the point at which I would be using force against someone. I'd be you're a home invader.
Yep.
That's when you go out to the front door, you get the baseball bat, and you let it speak.
Yeah.
To some extent.
Or your boomstick, if you have.
I was about to say, or if you're if you're where I'm at, Peter. We got ways.
I don't know. Maybe probably a drumstick would even work.
Yeah, well,
if used probably.
Or Oregon is the state where the hippies and the rednecks converge.
Or a bunch of them.
Into a single organism.
Or a bunch of them.
We got a lot of weed and we're heavily armed.
Yeah, my kind of people.
No, but it's an interesting movie, and when it starts, you think, maybe. Okay. And then you get to these 15, 20 minutes in and you think, oh my God.
Yeah.
So
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I love this movie. I love it.
And even the
How'd you
acting
feel?
is really
Drew's kind of been reticent.
So I read a lot of reviews that people put on IMDb, and like I said, that's how I got all the multiple times people saying the cable guy thing. But also, I was kind of disturbed how many reviews were like, "Oh, well, it's a dark comedy. It's a comedy. You know, it's like it's a funny situation." And I'm like, what movie are you watching?
I know. What?
I did laugh out loud once, and that was when the guy from Switzerland is over, one of the colleagues or whatever goes to use the restroom, and he opens the door,
but then
they just show the pipes, and then later he's trapped and the sink is on top of him. I was like, this is becoming absurd. Like the situation in the bathroom is surreal, right?
And
how did he end with that on top of it? Did he rip it off the wall?
Yeah, I don't know what he did.
I think it probably projectile launched it. I don't know. He turned the water on and everything exploded.
There could be humor, even in I'm sure there might have been like a chuckle in. Last House on the Left. They've got the Martin Cove. Sensei Kreese is one of the sheriffs, and there's like the two cops. And it feels very weird, like because if memory serves, it's like they keep like cutting back to them, and it's almost like very like waka 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 kind of humor mixed in with this horrific scenario.
I think Allyson used to correct with the absurdist. It gets absurd to a point like this bathroom is like laughable. This
is a dark comedy as much as what Toby Hooper said. He always felt like Texas Chainsaw was a dark comedy. That's about how much this is a dark comedy. Neither of them is funny. They're not a dark comedy. Yes, if you got gallows, gallows humor, sure, I'll grant you that. But it is not a comedy at all. No,
it's drama. It's uncomfortable. Really,
there was this filmed version of a play. This was kind of obscure, but it was a play. It was called True West, and there was this film adaptation version where it was Gary Sinise and John Malkovich as brothers. And there was something about this that reminded me of it because John Malkovich plays this antagonistic brother who's like Gary Sinise is like kind of tightly laced and like tries to do everything perfectly. And then John Malkovich is like the wayward, freewheeling brother who just breezes in after their mom dies. And it's just the two of them the entire time. And the one is slowly driving the other one mad. And
when did it come out?
I want to say in the 80s.
Really? Is it? I don't know.
We had a VHS copy of it at our house, and so I saw it a couple of times. And like, I don't know. I was intrigued because of the cast, but it was something that my dad really enjoyed. But he's also sort of an antagonistic person. Yeah, like but like. There's something about John Malkovich's character in that like the guy playing the plumber. I was like, oh, I could kind of see him doing this role. Like it just.
What was it called again?
True West.
True West.
I'm trying to find it. It's like it's not showing up. Would it have an alternate title? Maybe? Do you know?
Search on Gary Sinise or
I don't know.
I did. It was under his.
It was originally a play, so
okay.
Yeah.
No, I believe you. I don't think you're making it up. I'm just trying. Yeah, it's.
So when I come with an obscure title like,
oh no, you're making it up.
Bloodbath at the House of Death, like that's.
He's just trying to gaslight you, Peter. There's a scene where because the one is like sort of like the goody two shoes, upstanding citizen, like kind of up his own ass about it. Gary Sinise's character, John Malkovich's character is like, you couldn't even steal a toaster. Like you're like, for some reason, that's what he basically dares him to do. And then at some point, they like show the room and it's just filled with toasters because Gary Sinise has lost it and he's like stolen all these toasters. Like, would you like some toast?
Well, and it was a TV movie?
It was it was just a film version of a play. So
wouldn't it be awful for Joel if I found it immediately? Yeah,
it would be. It serves me right. That's so weird. I'm not saying true. TRUE.
Yeah,
WEST,
pretty sure
right?
That's what it was called.
There's a movie called True West. There's actually a couple, but none of them have Gary Sinise or John Malkovich. Isn't that weird?
Huh.
Well, how about this?
Maybe if you search True West play?
Yeah, I was looking at IMDb to be fair, so maybe.
Okay, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it was like a play. Was it a play that they filmed?
It's a Sam Shepard play.
Okay, well that should be. That's so bizarre, dude. Huh. Okay, well, I'll look for this later because this is bizarre. It's now become a mystery I have to solve.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, if you just Google search it, so
probably come
maybe
up.
I was just watching a film version of the play, which is why it's not on IMDb.
Maybe they'll put those on sometimes.
It's literally just a set with the two of them the whole time.
Okay.
Which brings out good actors.
It was done for American Playhouse. So if you look up on IMDb, you'll find it under American Playhouse.
So it's like one of their episodes or something. Oh, okay,
yes.
that makes sense. All right, cool. Yeah, I'll look that up later. That's cool.
1984.
Do you want to mention the cast real quick? Because I thought
real quick. Yeah, real quick. We need to.
Because Judy Morris played the Jill character. She was actually in Razorback.
Oh, okay. I love that movie.
Yeah, she played the reporter in that one. Ivar Kants, who played Max, did a lot of TV work. Heartbreak High, Neighbors, and The Flying Doctors, and an episode of Farscape, which
I at least know what that is.
Yeah. Let's see the husband. He was he was in a miniseries called For the Term of His Natural Life, a TV miniseries.
Robert Coleby.
Yeah. For the Term of His Natural Life is a TV mini from mid 80s, which is really good, and it's hard to find now. So, and that's what did I wrote down? David Medavoy played. Henri Szeps played David Medavoy. Was probably one of his colleagues. He had a small part in a movie I just recently watched, The Return of Captain Invincible, which is hang on. And this will come up also on Retro Movie Geek later on the next movie we cover. The Return of Captain Invincible is a superhero movie musical with Christopher Lee playing the antagonist, and he sings. So already there, you should have been sold. It is a weird movie, and you kind of get sucked into it. So
honestly, Peter, I think you just made that up.
See,
I can't find it on IMDb.
I can't find it, Peter.
I will go get the DVD and show you.
I know you will. What were you saying,
Somebody was telling me the other day that Christopher Lee did like a metal album.
Oh,
or like
I heard about that. I've heard
he did.
Yeah.
Yep, I've heard it. So
That's
it
awesome.
exists.
Is it good?
I mean,
he gets all diplomatic. Well,
no. I mean, it's not that. It's doing a metal album. He doesn't really sing all that much. Not to say anything about Christopher Lee because he did a shit ton of stuff off camera in his real life. So, but it's pretty cool actually. So
okay, yeah, it's not like when John Zachary does multiple albums. One of them with Southern Culture on the Skids, and it's awesome. he's singing while doing his sort of thing.
Yes, Zachary, yes.
Well,
we do the twist, the mummy twist.
The mummy twist.
No, so the Return of Captain Invincible is another gem to find.
Okay.
So,
all right, that sounds fun.
We'll assume you didn't make it up, Peter.
Nope, I didn't. It has who plays Captain Invincible? Oh, son of a bitch! What is
okay, but if he did, should he not be pitching movies?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, Peter. Yeah, I've got a new job for you.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So all that being said, I guess then is it fair to say we all enjoyed this movie, at least on some level, as much as you can enjoy the awkwardness?
I was worried it was going to give me nightmares because I have recurring anxiety dreams about everyone in our neighborhood trying to be in our yard and come into our house.
Oh my God.
Because, well, we've had several incidents.
Okay.
With neighbors' children's, neighbors' dogs.
Well, dogs and
neighbor,
kids, I get it,
neighbor with mental illness trying to get into the backyard. So, like, it comes from a legitimate place, but I have these reoccurring stress dreams where it's not just one or two people; it's just like everybody is suddenly in our backyard, and they're there not to try to harm us, but they just feel entitled.
Like their backyard.
Yes, this is our space.
This is everybody.
I'm screaming at them to leave, and no one's listening
That's interesting.
to me.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like this.
I did not have nightmares.
No, because he makes himself at home and he feels entitled. He starts looking in cupboards for glasses and when he's eating. And
I know, what the hell is that?
And also,
yes,
he brings cookies or cake homemade, and he said, "No, I don't really want it."
Yeah,
and he kind of looks at like, "Yeah, try it." I was like, "Okay." And then he says there's hashish in it, or
I don't need your roofie colada, you know.
Yes, exactly.
Right. I mean, you could smell certain things in a cookie, but there's some things you could, and especially it's like, oh, is this an almond cookie? Is there cyanide in here?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
there's no way I would have wanted to eat that.
No, this is
I'll eat it later. I'll try it. I'll try it later. All right. Well, cool. So I'm glad we all liked it and at least had
I don't think I'll ever watch it again, though.
Okay.
I thought it was really, really well done and effective, and it was stressful. Like I can say I like it, but it was effectively an uncomfortable watch.
Yeah. It was a good movie and uncomfortable watch.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
And they shot it fairly quickly too, if my memory serves me right. So
okay. I mean, I would think it's a fairly. I mean,
straightforward.
You need an apartment. You need a couple little other locations.
And I think if people are interested, if they weren't able to watch this already, I would recommend do the free trial thing and just check it out because it's really nice quality.
Although. Warn you, there's a lot of stuff on the Criterion Collection channel, and you might end up not like us, not just ending the trial and then having another streaming network.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I was like, I don't need Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
It's basically everything on there's on Tubi now for free, and then commercials. So there was some really cool stuff on there, but like I said, Body Double, but also there's some fun shows, and there's an indie director series that used to be on IFC in the late 90s and early 2000s called Split Screen. Okay. And there was early coverage of the Blair Witch Project in a couple episodes. So that was really fun to watch.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
I love stuff.
Fun interviews with lots of different directors.
It's pre-Blair Witch. So it's like I guess you would call it their pilot. So it's them talking about how they want to investigate this thing that happened, but I think I remember we want to investigate and make this movie is already a fake, investigation.
They featured in 2 different episodes of the show, at least as far as I can tell, because I've watched 2, but the first one is before they ever even developed the film or had that special that was on the Sci-Fi Channel back in the day. Right. If people remember I remember that first of the Blair Witch, and to get you all excited about the film. So this is before any of that, because the casting, they showed photos and mock-ups of what they wanted to do, and the person, Heather Donahue, who plays Heather Donahue, was originally a different actress.
Oh,
which I did not know. And I was watching, I was like, oh, that's totally someone different. Like they had different cast pick.
So they had like a little short that they were shopping around, basically.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's nice. That's cool.
And I may be in the minority, but I really, really enjoyed the Blair Witch Project.
Oh yeah. I mean, I like Blair Witch Project.
Because everyone is like, it's shaky cam. I felt nauseous.
When I saw it in the theater, it was very disturbing.
I thankfully
that end scene is just
I thankfully saw that before it, because we saw it at the Enzian, which is like an art house indie theater in Orlando, and we'd actually right before that we saw a movie called Last Broadcast.
Oh yeah,
which I love. I love that movie, and it was like the big deal was that it was like the first movie that they simulcasted to 5 little indie theaters via satellite or something in 1999, and we got to go see it. Yeah, because we were close enough to the area, and I still had some connection up there. So we went and saw that, and then Blair Witch we saw there before it went to like every megaplex everywhere. So like I saw it before it became a thing, because I think if I'd seen it after it became a thing, I probably my inner contrarian would have kicked in and been like, you know what I mean? Everyone would have talked it up to the degree that they did, but because I went in cold, I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then sometimes everybody talks up a movie, you're like, it was okay.
I think
that's happened to me lots of times.
The Blair Witch, I think it kind of works better on video or watching it on a small screen than on the big theater, because it gives it because seeing it in the theater makes it like a movie.
What you do, Peter, is you take it and you get like an old TV, a little battery operated something or other, so you can, take it out in the middle of the woods.
I know.
Get a lawn chair and watch it like that.
Or sit in your tent and have somebody shake it.
Yeah, watch it inside your tent. That's what you.
Or you go to an old abandoned factory and you stand in a small room and you hear the friend you're with, the friend, he says, Peter, look at this. And I turn around and he's standing in the corner exactly.
No, sorry. You mean your ex-friend? Is that what you just said? Your ex-friend?
No, I freak him out with sending pictures of hairy dolls.
All right, fair enough. All right, so
did we pick?
We need to pick. Yes, we need to pick. Yeah, we need to pick.
Next victim.
What's the next number? All right, so the plumber, that was Allyson and Allyson, right? Allyson, you picked the plumber, right?
It was number 25.
Somebody picked it.
I picked Bay Coven. That was my fault.
Hey, I like that movie.
Yeah,
I know you did.
It's kind of dumb, but it's fun.
Yeah. All right. So technically, then Drew, I believe you're next up to pick a movie. Pick a number.
Oh,
oops!
Between 1 and a million or whatever it is. Whatever.
No, I may have added a couple. Let's see. We're up to 64 now.
Okay, so we got it's 1 to 64, but just so you know, the number 1. How about this? Pick a number 2, 1 to 64, and I'll tell you if it's already been picked. That'd be easier.
Exactly.
That's easier, yeah. I think so.
Yes.
Let's go with 47.
Ooh, 45 has been picked, but ready for this? 45 was you. You picked 45. You obviously have a thing for the 40s. So 47.
47. Oh, late 80s.
Oh, okay.
1989. 47. The Haunting of Sarah Hardy.
Get down to the sound of the funky drama.
Oh my.
Oh.
The Haunting of Sarah Hardy.
For a minute, I was thinking it was Seacliff Inn, and I'm like, oh, we did that one already.
No, we did that one. Not again.
Nope. That was kind of annoying. But I have seen this. I have seen The Haunting of Sarah Hardy as well.
Figured you did.
Uh-oh.
So The Haunting of Sarah Hardy.
Should we pick a different one?
That's not how this works.
I know.
Nope.
I don't. If it's like the one with Ali Sheedy, I don't want to do that to you though.
Oh, no, it's fine. Honestly, like all of these, even if I don't like them, it's still fun to watch. And I to be fair, I don't 100% remember how I felt about this one. Okay. I think I remember the lead actress and I remember like roughly what it's about.
Okay. All right, cool.
Well, to be fair, some of the movies on the list I actually found with commercials too.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
So, which makes even if it's a movie even if the movie is kind of ho hum.
Yes, Haunted by Her Past. That was the only way I could get through that movie was to get to the commercials.
Oh.
The commercials were pretty great, though.
That was probably one of the best commercial series that we had.
89. I'm trying to think of what commercials I would remember from 89.
Probably She's Got Legs. Probably that one. Sheer Energy Legs. I got to imagine that would be there.
I'm not sure there's a commercial version of this though. But
dang it, Peter.
Well, I don't know. I haven't searched the interwebs all over the place.
I know you haven't. All right.
Haunting of Sarah Hardy, 1989 is for people to watch for next time.
I believe it's on YouTube, multiple versions.
Yeah,
so I think this one's going to be easier if people want to watch it beforehand.
Yeah. Most of them are actually easier to find like that. But
Well, I think The Plumber, because of the prestige of the director, was probably why that's a harder one.
Yeah. Because The Last Wave is not. I can't find that, so I have to. Well, you can find it to buy it, but it's not cheap. But
wait, is that a made for TV movie?
No. Okay. That's another movie Peter Weir did. So with
sometimes people do more than one. So I thought maybe.
I think it's with Richard Chamberlain, if memory serves.
Yeah,
cool. So,
all right. Well, we'll wrap this bad boy up. And Drew, Allyson, anywhere you want to tell them to find you guys, or do you want me to just stop doing that at the end of every episode?
We are here.
Yes, the Haunted Davenport is still out there.
It is. I haven't checked on it in a while. I pay for it to be hosted every month, so I'm assuming it's still going.
It'll be there until you are tired of doing that.
I mean, there's like 40 plus episodes. You can check that out at thehaunteddavenport.com or on a lot of different, podcast services of your choice.
Cool.
So that's there.
You have an owl in your background.
Oh, it's actually
it's a camera.
It's a camera.
Oh yeah. I remember now. We talked about that.
It's very cheap, but it's we're gonna put it in my woodland themed art and vintage retail space that I've been working on, and when that's all finished, I'll plug that someday.
I was going to say you could plug that at the end of the episodes. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean it's if you're in Portland, you can see my work at the Memory Den Vintage Mall, which is a huge place and fun if you love nostalgic
Portland's
items.
Largest vintage mall
on Second.
That's probably saying something.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Something.
The staff loves to tell me regularly about how it's haunted, especially the basement, which we've been to. It's creepy. It's awesome. It was like an old, like a food factory production type place, 100 years ago. Anyway, I painted a mural in there, and I'm going to be selling some of my art and also making an immersive, fun little walkthrough space that people can go into that's open but still a work in progress. So that's the thing. But anyway, the owl, we got that because we want to put it on a branch inside the sort of forest themed space, but it's motion activated and its head swivels to follow people.
Every time I see an owl, I get hilarious. Every time I see an owl, I get one quote in my head, and it's kind of sad now.
Yes.
So
that's right.
Yes, R.I.P.
And for Joel, who hasn't seen that show,
I know
the owls are
not what they seem. Yes, we love
and
you,
Joel
David
is like,
Lynch.
"Oh, you bastards!
You
all three of you."
So just not to derail as we're trying to close, but like we watched this on the Criterion Collection. I opened that up last night, and the first thing I see is a big "in memory of David Lynch" across Criterion Collection. I was like, oh, cursing, lots of cursing. I was like, damn it.
Yeah, that sucks.
Just having a good day.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, I think it speaks to him and his art. It seems like a lot. People, I mean, obviously, look, we don't know celebrities. They're just people there, but they're part of our lives. So people get, attached. But it is interesting the number of people seem to have been deeply, deeply affected by. Because I mean, he wasn't old. He was like 78. It was like he was 98 or 80.
He was. I think he'd been sickly.
He'd been battling emphysema pretty badly for the past year. I think
he was a pretty heavy smoker, wasn't he? Back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, I had a grandmother who was a heavy smoker, and she lived to be 85. You never know. And a high school friend who died of lung cancer in their 30s, non-smoker.
Yeah.
So you just don't know how long you're going to
live your life, people.
But we just watched a really cool documentary called Lynch/Oz, and it's about his fascination with the Wizard of Oz and how it has influence in a lot of his body of work. And also on Criterion Collection, I'm not getting paid by them or even a free membership. If you're listening, sure. Yeah, but I recommend that if you're a David Lynch fan and you're in a state of mourning, seek out that documentary. It was pretty interesting. Yeah. Lots of different directors are interviewed, and it was cool.
I know that Pastor Matt from Father and Son Watch Horror, he actually got to meet him for lunch.
I think he
burger in LA back in the late 80s. Because Matt's brother was like a music supervisor or whatever on a lot of projects.
Sure.
So he was working with his brother, and so they had to meet with David. Well, they had to, but they met with David Lynch at this burger. Something about that, meeting David Lynch at a Frisch's Big Boy type place.
Yeah,
that seems so perfect.
Yeah,
so perfect.
Yeah,
it really seems. I mean, he's a really cool guy. He seemed just genuine. That was the guy. The guy you saw on the internet. That was the guy, which is cool. It's nice that he wasn't,
So it's time to watch Twin Peaks now.
Yeah, I need to watch Twin Peaks. I know I do.
It's time to watch Twin Peaks.
I need to watch it. I know that.
I love that.
Problem is, I don't know that my wife's going to dig it, and so I got to figure out when I'm going to find the time to watch. I mean, I could try. She might. Here's the thing: I always got to convince her. It's like give a show like 5 episodes because you got to get into the rhythm of the show. Usually, you don't know. I mean, some shows by the first episode, but most shows you got to put some effort.
There's a scene in this series that I remember watching.
Don't tell me.
No, I'm not gonna. It's where you see.
Don't even hint.
No, it came up and it came up. They put them. It's terrifying.
Okay.
And there's also that scene with Bob when he is. Yeah, and then there's I can't.
Okay, so maybe don't watch the documentary if you've never seen Twin Peaks or any of
me. Yeah, I was saying the dumbest thing about me, and Peter will appreciate this because I'm the guy who will watch sequels before I see the original. I saw Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, the movie.
Oh, okay.
But I've never seen
that's before the TV show, so that
I get that.
That will probably be helpful.
Okay. It's been a long time since I've seen it, to be fair, like a very long time, but I had seen it. All right. So all that being said, Peter, where they can find you?
They can find me scrolling David Lynch's film. Sorry.
Where can they find you, Peter?
They can find me here on there on the tube with you guys, talking TV movies from 70s and 80s and
twice.
What is it, twice now from the 90s?
Yes.
Which Joel still...
Drew almost had a 90s one. We were so close.
So close.
And Joel still wants it only to be one. So,
yeah. There's one I definitely wish it wasn't.
Here and on Retro Movie Geek.
Indeed.
And me and Hugh and the Undead Wookiee have talked about it's time to do something again. So we'll see if we can get our schedules to work.
All right, cool. And obviously, yes, I can be found here and Retro Movie Geek, which I know we're going to do Road Warrior at some point here.
Yeah, we need we need to see if we can get our heads together.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. And let's see. Of course, I'm trying to think of all the things I'm doing here. So we've got Jay the Dead's New Horror Movies, of course. I will get to the YouTubes. Okay. Jay the Dead's New Horror Movies. That is, of course, always out there. I'm supposed to record something the day before my birthday. We're doing a top 10 list. I'm pretty sure I might have seen 8 horror movies this year that I would. I don't think I may have seen 1 or 2 things I would put on like a top 10 list, maybe. So I'm like, this is going to be completely out of my butt. I'm just, I'm like, okay, sure. You did top 10. These are the ones that I didn't hate. Is that a good criteria? Because I don't know.
I saw these.
I saw these movies. They were horror.
How many did you watch? 10.
Yeah, I saw 10. Yeah,
I saw 10. This is
I still need to see. I do need to see. Before we do, I want to see the Substance. I haven't seen that yet, and I want to see the Coffee Table. Which have you guys heard about? Yeah, I don't. No? What I understand is Going Cold. It's called the Coffee Table, which sounds
ridiculous. By Cosmo Kramer.
yeah. It's apparently messed up. That's all I know about it, and I kind of want to go in knowing only the title. I don't know what it's about. I think it's from Spain, Portugal, something like that. Maybe. Pretty sure. Yeah, I don't think it's American.
Okay. So not Kramers.
But yeah, those two I'm trying to get in before because I'm hoping maybe one of the two of them, or maybe both, if I'm lucky, will somehow end up on the top 10.
Maybe it'll be a 9.
Maybe it'll be like 8.5.
Yeah.
movies. But yeah, so check that out. And of course, the YouTube channel, Mom Pop Video Shop. Every Monday we put out a retro movie recommendation more than a review, but we do that. And of course, gift wrapped the short film that we did tomorrow. As we record this, will be the little film festival that we got it into, which is cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The Tampa Bay Screams Film Fest. So,
cool.
Yeah. So just a special.
Yeah,
and
you. I was waiting for the correct moment.
A guy referencing his own movie, it seems really douchey. By the way, the word of the day, kids, is douchey. In case you were wondering.
So are we all supposed to go?
Yes, exactly. But yeah, so check all that out.
Pee-wee reference.
Yes, of course. Always have Pee-wee reference. But yes, that is true always. But until next time, remember. When it's late at night and you can't sleep, you might find yourself flipping through the channels. And if you do, beware. Because you never know when you just might stumble across special terror on the tube.